Hello and welcome to European War News. Today we'll be discussing the past week of the Russo-Ukrainian War. Right, so starting with Western Ukraine, we have two main things to talk about. The first one being the blocking of Russian gas going into the EU. Now, as you all know, up until very recently, Hungary was the only EU country to not actively fund the Ukrainian military. That changed in October of 2023 with the Slovak elections, in which a coalition of social conservatives won. And since then, Slovakia has not sent any military aid to Ukraine. Now, on Tuesday, the Slovak PM met with the Ukrainian PM in Uzhhorod, 20 kilometers from the Slovak border. We don't know what they talked about, but we do know that it was quite heated because a few days before this meeting, the Slovak PM, in an interview, questioned the Ukrainians' sovereignty. Now, the other piece of news from Western Ukraine was the preparation to make Lvov into an emergency provisional capital should Kiev fall to the Russian offensive in summer or winter of 2024. Now, moving to the Belgorod direction, Wednesday at 11:45, a plane that was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners on board was shot down by Ukrainian air defense. Now, there are hundreds of theories to what actually happened, but having looked over all of the evidence and the knowledge that we have right now about the event, I would like to put forward my theory. I think that sometime last week, Russian and Ukrainian authorities agreed to do a prisoner trade on Wednesday. The way the Ukrainian troops were going to arrive was only disclosed to a few people in high places. Zelensky planned to use this prisoner trade as justification to apply full mobilization the following day, so Thursday. However, I believe that an anti-war group, or maybe even just one person in the Ukrainian government, who knew that full mobilization was going to be voted on the next day, and who also knew that the Ukrainian POWs were being transported to Belgorod, sent fake intel to some air defense commanders saying that there were missiles on board the plane. Now, of course, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that it was in fact something like this that happened. Now, going just south of Kharkiv, we have been getting a lot of information on a possible Russian offensive to secure a buffer zone between Kharkiv and Belgorod, maybe even to take some bigger targets such as Sumy or even Belgorod itself. These rumors have been flying around for about 2 weeks. I think it's likely that we will see a Russian push in the coming weeks, not to Sumy or Kharkiv, but to take some smaller villages. Ukrainians have been using staging grounds to send terrorists into Belgorod Oblast. Securing the border will also boost Putin's public standing in preparations for the presidential elections in March. Now, some quick updates from Belohorivka. In the past weeks, Russian forces have pushed down from the north, taking a large area in the north, as well as pushing from the east, taking the eastern industrial zone. Another quick update from Ivanivske. Russian troops have taken the fields between Artyomovsk and Ivanivske. Reports indicated they've got a foot in the eastern part of the town. We should expect some footage to be released in the coming days and weeks, and heavy fighting to be present in this area. Now to the city that everyone's been talking about for the past few days, Avdiivka. In the last few days, the Russians have made huge advances, encircling hundreds of Ukrainian conscripts. They managed to do this by launching small probing attacks all over this part of the front, at the same time using an abandoned pipe to send some 300 troops behind the Ukrainian lines and encircle them. When the Ukrainians stationed in Tsarsʹka Okhota realized that they were encircled, they either retreated or surrendered, allowing the Russians to take minimal casualties. The same story applies in the north. They took the three streets before the Ukrainians knew what was happening. They took loads of land without taking basically any casualties. At the same time as this was going on, Russian troops to the south stormed an abandoned Soviet military facility where the Ukrainian garrison surrendered without fighting. As for the coming weeks and months, we can expect a Russian assault on the citadel area in Avdiivka, as well as a series of attacks towards central Avdiivka and especially in the north. Now, moving towards Kherson, uh, in Krinky, we can see that the Russians have still got a very strong grip over Krinky itself, even central Krinky. Whilst they do not have any troops stationed there, the Ukrainians don't either, and the Russians have got the whole city surrounded. Uh, the only reason why they haven't moved troops into central Krinky is because of the constant Ukrainian drones that are, let's say, liquidating the Russian forces in the area. Looking at the Kherson front as a whole, we can see an increased number of Russian missiles attacking the Ukrainian positions along the river. A lot of people are saying that this is because the Russians plan to have some kind of offensive in Kherson to take Kherson back in the coming months. However, I think this is very much possible. It's more likely that this is just a distraction to get Ukraine to divert even more troops, as they have done in the past few weeks, even more troops from the northern front, so from Sumy mostly, towards Kherson in preparation for the assault in the north. Thank you for getting this far into the video, and please do let me know in the comments if you like this style of general updates or if you would prefer something more in depth, or maybe even both. So see you in the next video and have a good one.